At the BBQ, my wife joked, "Who wants to trade my husband? He comes with low maintenance and no ambition." Her divorced neighbor replied, "I'll take him." My wife's smile disappeared when the neighbor added, "When should I pick him up?" Part 1. The smell of grilled burgers filled the air as I stood by the grill, flipping patties, and chatting with the neighbors. It was one of those perfect Saturday afternoons, where everyone in the neighborhood seemed to migrate to our backyard for an impromptu barbecue. The beer was cold, the conversation was flowing, and for once, I was actually enjoying myself. My wife was holding court near the patio table, gesturing dramatically with her third glass of wine. She always got more animated after a few drinks, and today was no exception. I could hear her voice carrying over the crowd, but I wasn't really paying attention until I heard my name. Seriously though, who wants to trade husbands? Mine comes with low maintenance and absolutely no ambition whatsoever. The conversation around the grill stopped. I felt every eye turn toward me, then back to her. The uncomfortable silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. I could see some of the guys looking down at their beers, clearly embarrassed for me. But then Linda, our recently divorced neighbor from 2 houses down, stepped forward with a smile. "You know what? I'll take him." My wife's laugh caught in her throat. The smug expression on her face started to waver as Linda continued, "When should I pick him up?" The silence that followed was deafening. I watched my wife's face cycle through confusion, then shock, then something that looked like panic. She clearly hadn't expected anyone to actually respond to her joke. I set down my spatula and walked over to where my wife was standing. Every conversation in the yard had stopped, all eyes were on us. "Well honey," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I really appreciate you doing the marketing for me. Should I start packing now, or do you want to help me load the truck?" My wife's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. The color drained from her face as the reality of what just happened hit her. "It was just a joke," she stammered. "Was it?" I asked, crossing my arms. "Because Linda here seems pretty serious, and honestly, after that glowing recommendation you just gave me, I'm starting to think she might be getting a pretty good deal." Linda stepped closer, clearly enjoying the show. "I mean, low maintenance sounds perfect to me, and ambition is overrated anyway. I prefer a man who knows how to enjoy life." The other neighbors were trying not to stare, but failing miserably. I could see some of the wives whispering to each other, and a couple of the guys were actually smirking. My wife tried to laugh it off. "Come on, everyone knows I was kidding around." "Do they?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because from where I'm standing, it sounded like you were trying to get rid of me, and now that someone's actually interested, you seem pretty upset about it." She grabbed my arm, her grip tight enough to leave marks. "Can we talk privately?" I gently pulled my arm free. "Why? You didn't seem to mind discussing my shortcomings in front of everyone a minute ago. What's changed?" If you're curious how this confrontation spirals out of control, part 2 and the finale are already waiting on my website. Link in bio. Linda was still standing there, arms crossed, watching the whole thing unfold with obvious amusement. "The offer still stands," she said sweetly. "I'm not going anywhere." My wife shot her a look that could have melted steel. "This is between me and my husband, actually," I said. "You made it everyone's business when you decided to auction me off at a neighborhood barbecue, so I think Linda has as much right to be part of this conversation as anyone else here." The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. I could see my wife calculating, trying to figure out how to regain control of the situation, but the damage was already done. She'd humiliated me in front of our neighbors, and now everyone was watching her scramble to undo it. "Fine," she said through gritted teeth. "We'll discuss this at home, will we?" I asked, "because it seems like you've already made your position pretty clear. Low maintenance, no ambition. That was your professional assessment of your husband, delivered to a crowd of our neighbors. So what exactly is there left to discuss?" She was getting desperate now, I could see it in her eyes. "You're being ridiculous, you know I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it then?" I asked. "Please enlighten us, because I'm pretty sure everyone here heard the same thing I did." Linda chimed in again. "I heard a woman who doesn't appreciate what she has, and frankly, that's her loss." My wife rolled on her. "Nobody asked you, actually," I said. "You literally asked everyone here. You asked who wanted to trade husbands." Linda answered. "Now you're mad, because someone actually took you up on your offer." The party had completely stopped now. Everyone was watching this drama unfold like it was their personal soap opera, and honestly, I was enjoying every second of it. My wife realized she was losing this battle badly. "We're going inside now, are we?" I asked. "Because I'm actually having a pretty good time out here. The company's better than I expected." Linda smiled at that. "Much better company." My wife's face was turning red now, and not from the wine. She was furious, but more than that, she was humiliated, and for the first time in years, I didn't care. "Choose," she said, her voice low and dangerous, "them or me." I looked around at the neighbors, then back at Linda, then finally at my wife. The woman who had just tried to publicly humiliate me in front of everyone we knew. "That's an interesting ultimatum," I said. Especially coming from someone who just spent the last 5 minutes explaining to everyone why I'm not worth keeping. The look on her face told me everything I needed to know. She'd pushed too far this time, and we both knew it, but I wasn't done yet. After the last neighbor left our backyard, we cleaned up in complete silence. I could feel my wife's eyes burning into me as I stacked chairs and collected empty beer bottles, but I didn't acknowledge her. Let her stew in it. As soon as we walked back inside the house, she exploded. What the hell was that back there? I hung up my keys and turned to face her. That was you learning what happens when you try to humiliate your husband in public. Ew. Was it funny? I asked, because nobody was laughing, well, except Linda. She seemed to find it hilarious, her face twisted with rage. Don't you dare bring up that divorced vulture, she was just trying to cause problems. Problems? I laughed. She was the only honest person there. You offered to trade me away like a used car and she said she'd take me. What's the problem with that? The problem is that you played along with it. You embarrassed me in front of our neighbors. I stared at her for a long moment, letting that sink in. I embarrassed you. Let me get this straight. You stand up in front of everyone we know, and tell them that your husband has no ambition, and isn't worth keeping. But I'm the one who embarrassed you. She opened her mouth to respond, but I wasn't finished. You want to know what's really embarrassing? Living with someone for 8 years, who thinks so little of me that she'd make jokes about trading me away. You want to know what's embarrassing? Watching my wife drink too much wine, and turn me into entertainment for the neighborhood. I was just being social. No, I said, my voice getting harder. You were being cruel, and the only reason you're upset now is because it backfired. You expected me to stand there and take it, right? Maybe laugh along and play the part of the bumbling husband who doesn't know any better. Her silence told me everything. Here's what you didn't count on. I continued. Someone actually wanting what you were so eager to get rid of. And now you're panicking because you realized you might actually lose it. You're my husband, am I? Because 5 minutes ago you were trying to give me away to anyone who'd take me. She was pacing now, her hands shaking. You can't be serious about this. Linda is just a desperate divorced woman looking for attention. And what are you? The question hung in the air between us. She stopped pacing, and stared at me. What's that supposed to mean? It means maybe you should look in the mirror before you start throwing stones. You think Linda's desperate. You're the one married to a man you apparently have no respect for. You're the one who stays with someone you think has no ambition. Want to know what happens next? Part 2 and the final part are now available on my website, the link is in my bio.